Hey guys, my name's Nova, this is Film Express, and today I'm going to be trying something a little bit different, and I'm going to be talking about an older movie that I just watched recently and I absolutely fell in love with. We're going to be talking about Terrence Malick's Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups is a modern day fable. It's a mystical and spiritual journey that plays out more like an overt attack on the senses, and it's the type of film that left me feeling inspired, hopeful, and fully speechless. I had to really gather my thoughts after this movie. Anybody who's watched a Terrence Malick film knows his films are more like visual poems, and this one is no different. It feels out of this world, yet it's super tangible. It also feels like it could happen to any of us. Malick is known to inject his films with philosophical ideas, and this one is obviously no different. It's a philosophical journey that explores loneliness and anguish when surrounded by excess and indulgence. This is the lifestyles of the rich and the famous, the jaded and the disconnected. And to me, this is one of the more beautiful films I've seen in a long time. I'll be fully honest, guys, in March, I haven't seen that many great movies. I've been watching a lot of old films and I've been watching a lot of new films, but I think I'm just picking the wrong movies, guys, because it's just been a lot of really low ratings. So it was super interesting to me to find something like this that actually kind of reaffirmed my love for cinema. It's crazy because Terrence Malick films these days have almost become memeified. To me, he's gotten more experimental and way more liberal with his structure, but that doesn't mean it's a bad film. There isn't really anybody making films like Terrence Malick in the industry right now. His films are always super spiritual and they're always super philosophical, like I said, but they always have something to offer to those who are really going to analyze every frame or every action or every plot beat. The film is separated into chapters that are titled by tarot card meanings. And you know what? It's super interesting to see Rick, Christian Bale's character, kind of interact with different people in his life and how those interactions really leave an impression on him. Rick is a super interesting character, but he is a bit shallow. Like, he could have been written a bit better. There could have been a bit more of an edge to it. That really would have elevated the film for me. That doesn't mean that it was devoid of any quality. We trail him along in his life, his dreams, his memories, as he tries to make sense of his pain that he's been harboring for so long. He's surrounded by brand name stores in the richest financial district of the downtown core, and his focus doesn't go on the brand name Gucci store around him. His attention is drawn more to a business that has a foreclosure sign on the front door, or a homeless person who is struggling to stay awake because they've had a really rough night. These types of images are so powerful, and sure, they might be a little bit obvious, but they evoke so many strong feelings. Such an interesting character trait for Rick's character is that anytime he's forced to face reality and forced to face his pain, he ends up kind of doing drugs or drinking alcohol or going on a bit of a bender that enables him to kind of avoid thinking about reality. He's really drawn to escapism. You can only run so far. The pain always catches up to him all over again. He's basically surrounded by women at every turn in his life. There's so many women who want him, who want to love him, who want to be around him, but he can't really be present with those women because he keeps going back to the ones who got away. Every new woman in his life is almost a reminder of his failed relationships, which I find super interesting. It's like an endless cycle of solace and suffering, and those two kind of go hand in hand, but anytime his head gets way too far up in the clouds, something ends up yanking him back down to earth again, and that cycle kind of repeats itself throughout the film. As you guys know, Terrence Malick often works with Emmanuel Lubezki, and the cinematography here is fantastic. It's dizzying, it's dazzling, it's full of really haunting images that are poetic and they're meaningful. It's crazy because we have a jarring shift away from Malick's usual nature-focused imagery. He very often focuses on trees, nature, animals, flowers, stuff like that, the sun. And now we have a very, very modern take on Malick, where he's focusing on architecture, man-made sources of light, and he really relishes in the power of stark, contrasting imagery. For us, we're thrusted into this world of flashing lights, expensive brand names, beautiful models, and this is almost more hypnotic to me than all the times that he's focused on different trees or the sunlight peeking through the leaves or different things like that Malick is really known for. It's a very new, modern approach to Malick, but I think he's really found a new voice with this type of filmmaking. And it very well might not work for some people, but it really does work for me. I find a lot of merit in this type of filmmaking. It's very loose, and I've given a lot of directors flack, like Godard, for being way too loose with his filmmaking. Malick is way more of a philosopher than most directors are, so he ends up finding meaning in the best places. Now, with that being said, the film is super focused, I can't deny that, but it does feel like some of the ideas ideas here are very, very repetitive. I feel like in order to go through those 7 tarot card titles that he's kind of chaptered the film with, he had to repeat a lot of the same ideas, which in all honesty, it can wear down a viewer to a certain point. In order to make certain arguments and make points stick in a very hard way, sometimes you do have to resort to repetition. That's a very, very true technique, and it works in some occasions. Honestly, I do think that there could have been 15-20 minutes, trimmed off this film, because it can get a bit self-indulgent, especially when it's repeating the same ideas. Still, I really found myself enjoying this film and enjoying Malick at what seems to be his most experimental. There are some sequences in this film that are unlike anything in Malick's filmography. It was super fresh, it was super unique, and it had the energy of like a young filmmaker, not somebody in his 60s or 70s, I'm pretty sure now. It had the energy of a young and up-and-coming filmmaker, in my true and honest opinion. And while it does that, it still has this signature late-era thumbprint that Malick is known for at this point, which is very, very interesting. The more I think about it, one of my bigger gripes of the film is that it really did kind of lead to nowhere. There could have been a lot more time and care given to giving us a more powerful ending, but it doesn't make the journey any less fascinating, and sometimes it is way more about the journey than it is the destination, right? In all honesty too, some of the women here are they're very interchangeable. Some of the women that Malick writes in general are sometimes super shallow, so I won't say he has a deep understanding of women and how to write women, but it isn't a film about that. It might be more of a commentary on Rick's character and the women that he chooses to surround him with, and I can try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I just do wish that the women here were given a bit more dimension and a bit more unique personality traits, so that each chapter kind of stood out more instead of being repetitive. So while I do have a few gripes with this film, and I must say the first 5 minutes of the film are pretty jarring, but once I gave myself to this movie, and once I accepted that this was the cinematic language that I was going to be working with, I was transported to a whole new world, and there are very, very few directors that can do that the way that Malick can. So Terrence Malick's Knight of Cups is a masterpiece in my opinion. It is super flawed, but it's such a strong work from a strong artist that I can overlook some of those flaws and say that I truly, truly enjoyed watching this movie. Now, guys, have you seen Terrence Malick's movies? Have you seen Knight of Cups? What do you guys think? Please drop some comments below. Let me know. Let's have a discussion about it, because I know I said a lot of crazy things here. Please like and subscribe, guys. It would really, really help the channel a lot. I love how the channel is growing. Every single day I see some new subscribers, so I'm happy to have you all aboard the Film Express. My name's Nova. That's my review of Knight of Cups, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.